This is the Cherryleaf Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Cherryleaf Podcast. We're going to do something slightly different to what we normally do in this episode, and that is to do a roundup of some recent news relevant to technical communicators. It's a type of information that we include in our monthly letter. If you're interested in this type of information, then it's well worth you subscribing to the Cherryleaf newsletter. And I will provide a link in the show notes. And I'll also provide a link to the news items that we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about new software releases, some surveys, articles and research looking at the impact of doing things in different ways, and adding in some audio snippets from videos that talk a little bit more about some of these news items. One recent and interesting announcement was from TechSmith. They have announced that they have released a free web version of Camtasia. It's called Camtasia Online, and the idea is that you can use it to create quickly videos demonstrating how to use an application so that you can share it with colleagues. There's still a role for the Camtasia that you may be familiar with. If you want to do long videos or more complex editing, then you'll still need the main version of Camtasia. TechSmith, the makers of Camtasia, have released a promotional video to go along with this announcement. So let's play some parts of that.
What if I told you that you could create, edit, and share professional videos without expensive software or complicated tools? Create exciting videos that showcase your unique style with Camtasia Online's free screen recorder. To start, go to the Camtasia Online website, then press Start Recording. You'll be taken straight into Camtasia Online. You have 3 options to start creating: record your screen, record your camera, or record both. You'll then be prompted to choose what part of your screen to capture. You can record a tab in your browser, which also allows you to capture audio, though you can turn it off if you'd like. Select a specific window or go all in and record your entire screen if you want to bounce around between tabs. Select what you'd like to record and hit share. You'll immediately see a preview. The beauty of this experience is that you can actually see what you're going to get before you even start. Over in the left panel, you will see tons of professional layouts to choose from. There are screen-focused layouts to keep attention on your content, camera-focused for a more personal touch, balanced for the best of both worlds, screen-only if you're feeling camera shy, or camera-only for creating intros, outros, or adding authenticity to your videos. If you want to add a personal touch to your video, click Customize. Here you'll find variations to choose from. For example, if you don't want your face to cover any important information, you can move the camera video over here. You can also add or remove effects. Add a reflection to your screen recording. Want your camera in a circle instead? Add a mask. If you change your mind, just click on the highlighted effect and it will remove it. Lastly, you can update your background. When you're ready, click Start Recording. Click the View tab button to jump to your presentation. When you're done, go back to the Camtasia Online tab and press Stop. Or if you need another take, hit Restart. This will be your first scene. You can record as many scenes as you want, but there is a 5-minute limit on each one. To clean up your recording, use the trim feature to remove anything you don't want from the beginning or the end of your scene.
You can also work with colleagues. They can record sections and you can organize and combine their work within the same single project. We will probably stick to using the standard version of Camtasia because it can manage longer videos, it can do transitions, it can do a lot more. But it's well worth looking at if you don't have a video recording app that you use today, particularly as it's free of charge to use. Another announcement relates to Vale. which is a linter. It's a way of making changes to files. And they have introduced new functionality called views, which enables you to lint or correct and check structured files and source code, including front matter. And they've released a blog post on this. Views is a new way to define custom structured representations of your files. It gives you fine-grained control over what gets linted and how. Views allows you to extract specific content from structured data, such as YAML or JSON, and source code, and apply scoped linting rules to just those sections. So a view is a user-defined configuration that transforms a file into a set of named scopes. This enables you to lint only relevant parts of a file, such as metadata, descriptions, comments, or doc strings, without affecting the rest. Let's move on to an article that we came across called Documentation That Developers the Netflix Approach. It was written by Pratjem Naik, I think that's how to pronounce his name, and they claim that Netflix has cracked the code for creating documentation that developers want to read. So let me talk through what is covered in this article. Netflix approached documentation with the same mindset it uses for content creation, understanding its audience and developing value that keeps people engaged. Their developer documentation isn't just functional, it's compelling. And so the Netflix approach has 3 parts. First is to start with the problem, not the solution. That is, acknowledge the developer's pain points and frame the problem context first. So talking about the challenges, issues and concerns that the developer might be thinking about and then providing the answers. The second aspect is progressive disclosure for different skill levels. They provide multiple entry points into the documentation. For new developers, there's quick start guides with examples, and for experienced developers, they can go into advanced configurations and edge cases. Third aspect is real production examples. They use real code patterns that have been drawn from production systems. So they start with the developer journey, the key stages of onboarding, implementing, and mastery. They use a story code context pattern. Story is, why does this exist? What problem does it solve? Code, working examples that can be copy and pasted. Context, when to use it, when not to use it, and the alternatives. And in implementing this, they use an integrated tooling and workflow, integrated in the sense of integrated with the development workflow and the tools that developers use. So documents sit alongside project files. And in how they present the information, it's good old technical writing best practice. Make it scannable. Write for humans, not compilers. Include scenarios dealing with failure to do when things go wrong, like error messages and troubleshooting. You'll find this article on the dev.to website. It's an interesting read. They talk about metrics as well. And again, we'll provide a link to that in the show notes. We also came across a card deck developed by Johannes Lehner, which covers or summarizes the version 2.2 of the Web Content Accessibility group. And Johannes has made it available as a plugin for Figma and also as a print-ready PDF document so that you can print it and use it in paper format. There's a GitHub repository where all of this information is available. So the cards provide a summary of the success criteria to conform to WCAG 2.2 and a description of those different criteria. And you can use this for activities such as workshops, for planning the design of applications and websites, or for benchmarking your website or service to make sure that it complies. It won't surprise you that there have been more developments with artificial intelligence that relate to technical writing. One is a paper that was published actually back in April, which we came across by some researchers at Stanford University and the World Bank. The paper was called The Labour Market Effects of Generative Artificial Intelligence. In this report, a chart, a figure, which is the average number of minutes to complete a task with and without generative AI. In that list, one of the activities they looked at was repairing something. And they found that the average time to repair something reduced from 178 minutes down to 38 minutes when somebody was using generative AI. They also looked at installation, and there was a reduction from an average of 136 minutes down to 36 minutes. Agentic AI and model context protocol are some of the most interesting and most talked about themes in AI at the moment. And Microsoft announced that they have published a MCP server for Microsoft Learn Docs. Let me quote from the page. Microsoft Docs MCP server is a cloud-hosted service that enables MCP hosts like GitHub, Copilot, and Cursor to search and retrieve accurate information directly from Microsoft's official documentation. By implementing the standardized model context protocol, this service allows any compatible AI system to ground its responses in authoritative content. Key capabilities include high-quality content retrieval, search and retrieve relevant content from Microsoft Learn, Azure documentation, Microsoft 365 documentation, and other Microsoft sources. Semantic understanding uses advanced vector search to find the most contextually relevant documentation for any query. Optimized chunking returns up to 10 times high-quality content. Returns up to 10 high-quality content chunks with article titles, URLs, and self-contained content excerpts. And real-time updates. Access the latest Microsoft documentation as it's published. Peter de Bruin has created a video walkthrough and published this on YouTube. And again, let's play some highlights from his YouTube video.
Let's have a look at VS Code. In here, you can have a chat conversation with GitHub Copilot that works in a various modes: ask mode, edit, and agent. Agent we'll talk about here, which is where you can give an assignment to Copilot and will try to perform that. It does that using a language model. And the language model, in this case GPT-4o, has a couple of limitations. One is it was trained on generic web data, not specifically Microsoft technologies. And then next is that it was trained until a certain point in time, in this case, October 2023. And so when you want it to be able to search a certain specific knowledge base that's up to date, then that's where MCP comes in. So Model Context Protocol literally is a protocol that adds context to your models. So the generic GPT-4o model can then be enhanced with search with up-to-date learn data in the knowledge base. So there's MCP hosts like VS Code, MCP client, GitHub Copilot, and then it can talk MCP with a local server that goes over your local data, like file system, local server that runs commands against the remote servers like GitHub or Azure, and a remote server, as we have here with LearnDocs, that then talks to the Learn knowledge base. I'll ask you the question how to create an Azure storage account using Azure CLI. Ask Microsoft Learn. This is a hint to make it go out to the Docs MCP server. This is another hint. You can also provide instructions. In this case, I've added if a question includes a Microsoft product server technology, you should leverage the Microsoft Learn Docs MCP server to search for an answer. Okay, and so that works here. It understands the question and it passes that on to the MCP server. I can continue. And how it's working to get a response. Here are the steps. And this is the command. If you want more information, go to Learn Docs. The interesting part about agent mode is that you can have it ask a question, but then you can also do additional things, right? So a storage account in a certain region, also create dependencies with random names. And so in this case, it's doing the same as the sample question I provided before, but now it's also going to take that response from Learn and then take that into a terminal and actually run those AZ commands. So it creates the resource group. I didn't say it should create a resource group, but it did that because it understands dependencies. And so then it also creates the storage account. That will only take a couple of seconds. And then as you can see from the response from creating the resource group, which is a JSON answer, the storage account will do the same. And so that answer will be interpreted by the language model and then summarized on the right. There you go.
And the other interesting AI-related announcement that we came across is that Google is adding an AI function to Google Sheets. So you can put in a formula, I guess, into a cell. What that formula can do is you can input a specific prompt, an AI prompt, a chatbot prompt describing what you would like to do. And in that function, in that cell, you can include a data range. And that will then prompt Google Gemini to do a number of different things. For example, use relevant information from your spreadsheet to generate text that is tailored to your specific data. So if you have set a data range, which is a list of names or email addresses or preferences, it can then generate text that's tailored to those different names or criteria. Another use can be to summarize thousands of rows of feedback into key themes and to categorize data into meaningful groups so you can easily detect patterns such as user sentiment. So it's very much orientated at the moment to the types of things that you would do with a spreadsheet. But if we were to combine this with Google Docs, then one potential use might be to generate customized or personalized user guides. So that if you are a user of Google Workspace, might be worth investigating to see if you can create customized or personalized documents using Google Sheets and Google Docs. So we'll finish it there for today. If you like to be kept up to date with the latest news and developments in technical communication, it's well worth subscribing to the Cherryleaf newsletter. As I mentioned, we'll provide a link to that in the show notes. You can subscribe, receive the newsletter, and if you want to unsubscribe at any time, then it's very easy and straightforward to do that. You'll find more information about Cherryleaf and our services in writing documentation, training people and providing contract technical authors on our website cherryleaf.com. Apart from that, look forward to speaking to you on the next episode.